Coming up this week, what should be the priority in the fall sitting of Parliament? Also, we get your take on the U.S. presidential election. This and much more to come. Hitting the streets, this is Outburst. Hello and welcome to Outburst. I'm Glenn McGuinness. Well, it's that time of year where MPs from every corner of the country gather here in Ottawa for the fall sitting of Parliament. And once they get down to business, are there some things you would like to see addressed? We sent our cameras out to ask Canadians what should be the priority in the fall sitting of Parliament.
I guess managing the financial stresses that everybody's feeling right now. I mean, somehow, certainly the oil should be expedited to the east so that we could sort of improve our economy. I support it.
I think that the students need a lot more attention. I don't think that they've had enough attention in Parliament recently, and people who are making, say, less than $15 an hour, I feel like they really get ignored in Parliament, and I feel like there could really be some new policies regarding those things.
Well, I think our water, and especially in Aboriginal communities.
Probably homelessness, I would say, in Calgary. I know.
And what about broad in terms of Canada?
Canada? We need help. Alberta needs help. If Alberta does bad, then the rest of Canada does bad, you know. Like, we need help with, our energy section and getting OKs and, to get the pipelines moving, get the people back to work.
I think we need to adjust the economy first and foremost. I think that's the most important thing, especially here in Alberta. I think it should be a priority to get Alberta back on track.
Oh my goodness, there are a number. I think the economy is in fairly difficult shape right now. That's always a big one. I don't know, foreign affairs probably is up there too. I think the economy is my biggest priority.
The environment. I think that is important for current and the next generations.
I think taking care of the Syrian refugees. I think that is a big priority. Getting them settled, trying to help them get jobs, helping out everybody get jobs, I guess.
The priority? I would say getting our economy going. That's probably the most important, because if we want to maintain the quality of life that all Canadians enjoy, we gotta have a strong economy. So.
You know what? I'm really excited for Justin Trudeau to legalize marijuana. I think it'll be really good for taxation, and then we can use that money towards stuff like medication, maybe have a prescription medication coverage in Canada. That would be something that I would really like to see, but then again, there should be other things that they look at as well.
I've been impressed with Justin Trudeau so far with his stance on social justice issues, so I'd like to see him continue doing those sorts of things.
First Nation issues. Period.
And why?
Why? Because it's, well, I could do a Trudeau and say because it's 2016. It's long overdue. Long overdue.
Oh, I feel poverty. Tell you the truth, I feel that there's just too many poor people in the country for all the rich resources that we have.
Addressing climate change and environmental factors, and I don't know. I think there are a lot of positive changes happening. So yeah, it's good to see.
University should be free for all Canadians. No student loans for nobody. No parents, no kids, grandkids, name it. No, that should be free.
Well, actually, I've got two priorities. I'd like for them to look at the healthcare system and the education system.
And why?
Because it's really important for me. I have young children, so.
Well, now there's a tough one in that sense. I think they're on the right approach. I think they have to pay attention, though, for the concerns of local communities, building themselves, not so much pandering to the sort of the wealthy corporate structure, that I would say globally corporate. I don't mean internally. They have to look at our communities, because that's how we're going to build the country, rather than just become minions and make this. There's a growing separation. We're going back to almost feudal times in that sense that I see. So I think they've got to pay attention to what's being done by the youth are leading this. They're creating opportunities at home for themselves and the communities they're in and building, and I really think that needs support.
I like to see the pipeline. I like to see that done. I like to see it built across Canada, get the work in. I mean, here we are sitting around. We're surrounded by vehicles and cars and buildings that have all been built with petroleum one way or another. So it's a reality until the other ways of providing power and energy come on board. So the sooner we get that done, the better. But I mean, there are a lot of issues, native issues and so on and so forth. But that's just one thing I like to see pushed through and done and over with.
The Mackenzie River is the longest river in Canada. Where is it located? Northwest Territories, Yukon Territory, or Nunavut? Northwest Territories, Yukon Territory, Nunavut.
Northwest Territories. Nunavut?
You know what, I think that's Northwest Territories. Pretty sure about that.
Northwest Territories?
Northwest Territories. Northwest Territories?
Absolutely correct.
Okay,
Very
cool.
good.
Little bit of geography still.
The Mackenzie River is the longest river in Canada, covering a distance of roughly 1,800 kilometers. It begins at Great Slave Lake in the Northwest Territories and flows into the Arctic Ocean. Electoral reform is another hot topic in Canadian politics. During last year's federal election, the Trudeau Liberals promised it would be the last one fought under the first past-the-post system. But Conservatives in both the House and the Senate are strongly opposed to electoral reform without first taking it to the people with a referendum. So we took the topic to you. Our question: do you want to see a change in the federal voting system?
Yes, I don't like the first past the post system. I'm not quite sure what to offer instead of that. That would take some thought and deliberation, so I can't answer that one off the top of my head.
But you'd like to see a change?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
No, I don't really see anything wrong with our voting system. I just think a lot of people just don't vote. They just don't like some of the candidates for whatever reason. But I feel that it's your right and you should vote.
No, I'm not really sure what would need to change, but yeah, I know that it's not really accurately representing the amount of people in certain ridings, so I understand, that we may need a change, but yeah, I'm not sure what that would look like.
I think it's good the way it is. I feel like I'm represented in Canada, and so I think there's no problem the way it is now.
Well, they should change it. I mean, I went to a meeting a few months ago, Odell Park, last month, and they're talking about, fair representation and all that. And the way the guy explained, I didn't understand. There was too much math involved. I didn't understand a clue what he was talking about, and I left. And if it could come to a point that a democratic system will be more awake, and that people will have a voice, like the Green Party, except having one seat, they would have maybe 15 seats. It would bring more different opinions at the Parliament, and you still would have a majority, but you still have different views. And I think that's what has to happen. You'd have to explain to Canadians in a simple way. Never mind this math, and never mind this, this person will represent you from this party. It's too confusing. Canadians have no time for that. And if it's a way simple, then have it. If it's too complicated, we're not going to have it.
If it's going to be more fair and more equitable, I would be willing to listen to what they have to say, and maybe this time in 2016 that would change the way that we do things with those voting systems and all that stuff.
I guess as long as the change is non-political, because sometimes things are looked at and saying, well, if I had a little slice of this county, a little more slice of that county, or I had this or had that, then I would have got elected. As long as it's done with an open and fair mind, I don't have a problem with that. But as long as it's not being directed by some other motive. So motives are pure, go ahead, do it.
I always thought I'd like to see the change. I really believe that it's proportional. Give it a chance. I see parties, but you have to measure both sides. There's parties that don't make it in that are maybe fringe for some reason. I really agree with the principles. There's others that I'm really concern me. I have to be ready for both. But there is a concern. I watch what happens when you have too much, they call it democracy, but small pressure groups can get in under the other system. So I'm very leery of it, but I really think that we should have some form of proportional representation so that we don't get faced this two-party system that we're following, and it's going more and more, and everybody towing the line. It's different than the British parliamentary system. In fact, Winston Churchill in the Second World War had to get support from the opposition parties to do some of his policies because his own parties were listening to their people or their philosophies. His ministers were independent. Now, there's one voice speaking for the government on their side. We're going to the American style where there's a presidential role for the prime minister, and current conditions aside, but we still have problems. I think the system should be more open to power to the ministers and to the parties and to the people that get close but not quite in.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, it's ridiculous that the eastern part of Canada has so much more voting power than Western Canada. And I mean, it's gotten better over the years, but certainly it needs to change. Personally, I also don't believe in partisan government, but that's just my opinion. I know that's kind of weird. I don't think we should have parties at all. I think it should just be, hey, I like this guy, I'm going to vote for him. He should be my representative. It shouldn't matter, that he belongs to such and such a party.
Oh, it should go to the people first before it goes to any vote in Parliament and how we elect our people.
Because it's the way of the ridings are set out. I feel like there could be better representation in different places, maybe have the territories in the north have a little bit more say than they do, because I feel like they don't have enough power behind their votes because their ridings are so big. And maybe just more of like a popular vote and not riding by riding.
I do want to see a change in the federal voting system because I believe it does not fairly represent all places in Alberta or in Canada. I feel like there's just a more efficient system that we could create.
No. I know there's some people that do, but no, I think it's fair. I always vote, so nobody stops me anymore.
I do. I think, unfortunately, due to the skewing of the population, I think that the West needs to have a larger voice as far as voting in the federal elections.
Yeah, probably. I think they should take a good look at that. They'd have to figure out how to make minority governments work a little bit better if they're going to go ahead with that, but definitely.
No, I think it should be the first past the post system as it is, because any other system will benefit the Liberals more than any other party, so I think it should stay the same as it is right now.
I would like to see something more proportional. I think that we've ended up with too many governments in power that the majority of people don't agree with.
Where in Canada would you find the community of Seven Sisters Falls? Nova Scotia, Manitoba, or British Columbia?
We'll probably say BC, British Columbia.
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm going to guess on this one. I'll say British Columbia.
Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia.
Manitoba?
It is Manitoba.
Wow.
Very good. Seven Sisters Falls is a community in Manitoba. It is located in the southeastern part of the province. The U.S. presidential race is becoming more and more interesting as we fast approach the November election date. Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton and Republican candidate Donald Trump are virtually neck and neck in the polls. But recent health concerns with Clinton could play out to be a factor. So we set out to get some observations north of the border. Our question: what is your view of the U.S. presidential race?
I think it's sad. I really do. I think it's embarrassing for the Americans. Neither candidate is, I'm not, up to speed on American politics, but I think neither candidate would be ideal.
It is a gong show. I feel so bad for all of the kids that waited 18 years to vote, and this is their choices. I really think that if Donald Trump wins, it could very possibly be the end of the world. It's a little extreme, but I feel like nuclear war could very possibly happen under his reign.
I think politics have become sort of
quite comical in the recent years. I think there's definitely a shift in more of an entertainment type representation over what really matters, which is people that are really actually doing it from a executive standpoint. I think it's politics in the States are sort of seem to be more of an entertainment thing.
Oh man, it's a mess down there for sure. It's definitely a pick between which candidate you dislike the least. Either it's none of my business, I guess, because it's in the U.S., but I'm just like, ooh, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, don't really want either one of those, so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would vote for Hillary myself, but I don't talk about politics anymore with some of my friends because they like Trump. Yeah.
I think they unfortunately have two choices, and I don't think either of them are good. I think that democracy is letting the United States down right now. I also think that democracy has let Canada down recently as well.
I've been trying not to listen so much because the options that they have right now, they don't sound like they're very good for the U.S. and the rest of the world. So it's going to be interesting.
Hillary Clinton's going to win. Everyone's scared Donald Trump's going to make a comeback, but in the end, I don't think there's enough people that are going to vote for Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton will win.
I think Donald Trump's going to win by a large margin. I think Hillary's done for.
Out of all those people, those are the two candidates that they can come up with. Glad I don't live there.
In the fear-mongering that appears to be going on, and it's a deliberate exercise of generating fear of the other. I don't like it.
I really don't like either of them, to tell you the truth, but I guess the lesser of the evil would be Clinton. And if I had to vote, I guess I would vote for Clinton. I find Donald Trump just makes statements that don't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, I don't know, it's a bit disheartening. I was kind of hoping Bernie Sanders would do a little better in the polls. Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. You get the best of the bad bunch, I guess. It's interesting that they have over 300 million people there, and they come down to the two that it's pretty interesting anyway. Yeah.
A lot of controversy, different, I guess, a lot of people I'm hearing don't like Hillary, and but both candidates seem to have a lot of controversy.
And what do you think?
What do I think? Well, I don't get to vote because I'm in Canada, but I don't I don't trust Hillary, that's for sure.
It's a circus, it's absolutely insane. I'm from the U.S. and we're, it's scary what it is. Hillary is, definitely competent. I'm definitely going to vote for her. The other guy, and I don't even want to say his name, is absolutely nuts, and it's a very scary thing, and I think that, he's going to come after, after he would build a wall in Mexico, I think he's going to come after you guys. I think his next wall is going to be here, and I think if that happens, then we should build a bridge from Mexico to Canada so that you guys can be safe and not have to deal with the insanity that we're doing there.
When I look at Trump, I'm proud of that guy. He's a U.S. guy looking for U.S. When I look at Clinton, I'm proud of her because she look at U.S., but she look at the people in U.S. I'm not too sure between Trump and Clinton who will be the winner. Sure thing. One or the other, I will be proud.
Well, everyone has a chance to run. Donald Trump should have a chance to run, but I'm just surprised on how far ahead he has come. I didn't think he would get this far. And good for Hillary for running and keeping in the running alongside him.
What's my view? Well, my view is we never seen anything like this before. And my view is it's amazing how Canadians are more interested in American politics than Canadian politics. But because of the Daily Show and the talk show hosts down the States, Colbert and every one of them, they're having a field day. And it's fun.
Very interesting. Certainly a different election, catching everybody's attention, kind of one end of the stick, beating the other end of the stick. And personally, I hope that Trump wins. Why? If nothing else, just to shake things up. Nothing. That's all. Just he's a wild card, and I think he'll probably do more good than bad.
It's very worrisome to me that so many people seem to be following on sizzle and the marketing that that's done by particularly a certain candidate, Trump. I mean, he's obviously doing a great job of using the media and news and stuff that they don't see through the policies. They're falling for the fantasies. It's a concern. It's not so much himself. I think he's just mastering what it takes. I don't like his approach in many ways, but the concern for me is the fact that there's that many people that believe the tales, even when he contradicts himself so blatantly.
It appears the problems for Canada Post may be far from over. According to reports, its expenses are exceeding its generated revenue. And even though the labor disputes have calmed down for now, it's becoming increasingly harder to make the Crown Corporation profitable. Conservative Party leadership candidate Maxime Bernier has also called for its privatization, saying postal services should operate in a competitive environment, just like any other sector of the economy. So, once again, we turn to you. Our question: should Canada Post be privatized?
Yes, it should, and we should actually maybe even get rid of it altogether. There's no real point to it anymore. People do email and things that you got to send back and forth. Couriers do that now.
Well, that leaves a lot of people jobless. So I still write letters constantly to a couple of people around Canada. So I'm for Canada Post. I think letters should come back, and mail should be a priority. Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe that it would work better privatized. I don't believe that. That's a trickle down from Stephen Harper days.
No, not really. I feel that Canada Post do a good job. I've never had any problems with them, and I feel if it goes private, the service will go down.
Well, it's a mix right now, isn't it, with UPS and all the different freighting companies, and I noticed that eBay had quite a say in our postal strike. All those different companies have certainly a vested interest in keeping our postal service alive. So it's a pretty big picture, really. And I think that there should probably be a mix of private and public.
I don't know. If it's, I think it's run well right now, and we own it as Canadian citizens. So if it's broken, maybe we can look at privatizing. But if it's not broken, why fix it?
Yes, I think it's time that it has been. Yes, I do. It's change has been in society for a long time, pertaining to information and all that good stuff. So I think it's time that something was done with Canada Post for sure.
No, I don't think it should be privatized. It is it's a service. This concept that Canada Post should make money, no different. Should the Army make money? Should the politics? They're there as a service. Now, there's some management labor issues that I think are entrenched in there, but I don't think privatization is the thought, because what we're going to do is lose. The focus will be on making money for the corporation rather than servicing the public, such as myself, I'm on my way to mail a letter right now, and I believe we need that mailing opportunity, that we're not so limited by just depending on online usage and such.
That's a really good question. When things get privatized, they usually run better. Canada Post is great. We have a great service here, but perhaps there's some economies of scale that we can find and might be better.
No, only because I'm a big believer in crown companies. I think that having those sort of public services is a great idea. I think if people want to use a more private service, then absolutely those exist, but we do need to have a public mail service.
I believe they're doing a great job. I support the job they're doing.
I don't think so. I think that if you privatize something, they stop caring so much about the workers, and they're not as protected as they could be. It's all about making money when things get privatized instead of staying public.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. That should have been done a long time ago. The government has no business being in the postal service business, nor in the liquor business, nor in a lot of businesses.
I think so. I think the most important thing is delivering a high level of service to Canadians, and if that involves privatization, then I think that should happen. Unfortunately, they're not making any money right now, so it's kind of difficult for everybody. So, if they could be profitable through privatization, I think something that should be looked at.
It's an essential service. It's one of the things that really the government is here to provide.
Sure. I don't even know why they're still fighting if they are. It's a service that it will be, in my opinion, obsolete in a few years. So, yeah, if there is someone interested in buying it, sure, yeah.
Do you think it will be obsolete, like with people ordering online and stuff?
Well, I think with that, it will move forward with the online service delivery, but for mailing and statements and all that old school service that we used to get, there's no need for that anymore.
No, I don't think it needs to be privatized. I believe that the union that the employees are part of is supporting them to the best of its ability, and I support their union as well, as a union member myself.
Yeah, it probably should be, actually, because in the end, I don't really understand Canada Post, because back when maybe a few years ago, there actually used to be people to deliver flyers to your door. Now it seems Canada Post is the flyer delivery, and every time I look in my Canada Post box, there's always flyers, and Canada Post is the one that actually delivers those. So, yeah, it should be privatized. Yeah.
Who was president of the United States when Canada became a nation in 1867? Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Abraham Lincoln. Johnson, Grant, or Lincoln?
Lincoln.
Johnson.
Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln.
Johnson, Grant, Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. We'll go together. Johnson.
Johnson it is.
Yay. Okay.
You did well.
Thank you.
Following the assassination of Abraham Lincoln in 1865, Andrew Johnson succeeded him as president. He held the office until 1869. That's all for this episode of Outburst. Like what you see? Well, you can find more episodes on our website at www.cpac.ca and through our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook and weigh in on the conversation through Instagram and Twitter at CPAC_TV. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of all my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.